What I'm about to show you in my hand is really special. This is our newest batch of Nantou black tea. I want to tell you something about how do I get here, thinking about what makes this black tea so special, right? I've been drinking tea for like almost 9 years now, since the first day I started the tea business. And we didn't start with like amazing tea at all. I mean, at that time, we thought we have something amazing, but somebody else showed me that our tea is not good. And I realized, wow, there is a better tea out there. It get me excited trying to find a better quality tea. And at that point, I didn't know how good a tea can be. And then later on, once I know that there's a better tea out there, I feel like after that, all I gotta do is look for the better tea. I start doing a lot more research of like, where can I get the best tea? Where can I get the best tea? Getting samples from everywhere, trying as much tea as possible. And then slowly I'm starting to replace a lot of our really bad tea to a better quality tea, which at that time, I thought it was like the best thing ever. And then I realized that the quality of tea that I can find never seems to end. It's just a constant pursuit of finding the best tea. And the best tea is subjective, right? From people to people. But one thing I realized, there is a different quality that is not subjective. Every time I reach a new level, almost like my understanding of like what is really good tea just went up. And just like the video games, where in the beginning, it's very easy to level up. At some point, I stopped leveling up because at some point, I could no longer find better quality. And then you fall into this category of, well, just being subjective again, right? So every time you level up, you have like, well, quality is subjective, until you level up again. Like, oh, it is subjective, but my new level now better than previous level. So now a lot of my customers are in that following me with that level. And it's gonna get harder, and it's gonna get harder, and it's gonna get harder. And I constantly think, you know what, I have hit that ceiling, but I constantly wrong about that. Ceiling is crazy high, but you gotta start somewhere. You can't just expect that you immediately goes up to the next level. Even if somebody show you, like you can skip this 2-3 level and you can just cheat this game and go straight to the higher level, something about that, you're missing the journey of getting there. And you're gonna miss a lot of things that what makes certain things more premium. You can't skip that, at least in my opinion, you can't skip that. Because if you do, you have no idea how to explain it to most people that is still on the lower level. And if you can't explain them, then people can't appreciate. And if people can't appreciate them, they wouldn't buy the tea from you. Why am I telling you this is for the longest time, if I'm trying to tell somebody what is a premium black tea tastes like, I always give them my honey jinjume, right? The honey jinjume has been the staple of my quality black tea for a long time. Maybe the first 2 years, that's when I had the business, I found the honey jinjume, and then eventually I leveled up. And then since then, I have a lot of really good black tea that, again, kind of in the same level as that honey jinjume. And you just know it when you level up, because you finally has break that ceiling and you are level up to the next level. This black tea makes me feel that. This black tea has break whole new level for me. And now, no other black tea, I can look at them the same way. That's how special. I'm gonna show you many different ways because I'm so excited with this black tea. So I'm gonna like just show you every possible way that I would make this black, and I'm gonna show you how easy it is, how amazing it is, no matter what you do with it. Super excited when I got this black tea, and then first time I had it, just knew this is something different. All right, so let's get started. All right, so this is the 5 ways of how I'm going to make this black tea. Right? So for those that have been drinking this kind of tea for a while, you're probably pretty familiar. This is not a very traditional way of me making tea, but I'm testing and basically challenging the tea, right? Not every tea you can do this kind of grandpa style. So literally, I'm just gonna put the tea inside, and the reason why I have 2 is because I wanna see how the different material can affect the flavor of the tea. And then this is my standard, most common way of making the tea, which is using a Gai 1, about 100 milliliter Gai 1. Finally, I have 2 different material teapots. One is porous inside, they are not coated inside. So you can see They are basically being used for mostly black tea and some dark oolong, okay? And then this is a fully coated teapot. Again, the shape is different. This is, if you see, the top is a little bit smaller. The size is also a bit different. The thickness is a bit different, and this matters, and we'll talk about it later. All right, so we're gonna start the easiest one, and then we're gonna go here, and then we finally gonna get to the two teapot, and we're gonna talk about how different they can be. So the first two style of teapot is pretty straightforward. Usually you don't need a scale, but I know some of you always ask me what's the weight, so I'm just going to measure them, right? Because normally once you just kind of feel it, especially with a good quality tea. Normally, you don't really need to scale them. But if you want to know how much I put, I'm going to show it to you. So that's about 1 gram. Normally, 1 gram is like, if it's like a lot of other like oolong, 1 gram is more than enough. I'm putting about 1.5 grams here, right? And then let's see this one. Same thing with this one. I'm putting about 1.5 grams. Just to be fair, okay? Even though the dimension of this teacup is slightly different. But that's why we're going to see how different they are. Not only it's because the material is different, the shape is different, the thickness of the body is different, and then on top of it, the volume of the water is slightly different, okay? After that, I'm going to use water temperature that you can drink right away, right? You can't drink boiling water, and you don't want to be too cold either, like a nice warm temperature water. So I will say like around 160 to 170, right? So I actually have it already ready here. So this is about 160, right? It's pretty straightforward. Just pour it directly and you never take it off, right? If you put too much leaf, it will be difficult for you to drink. And the bowl shape is kind of nice because eventually the leaf is going to sink to the bottom of the cup, right? Very straightforward, and then because it's a bigger leaf, they tend to be heavier, and then when you drink them later on, it will just stay on the bottom. Okay. Most grandpa style like this usually has a bigger bowl, but the reason why I'm doing this is just to show you that making tea is not really that hard. You know, if you have a good tea, you really can just use anything. There's no excuse. As you can see, anybody can do this. All you gotta need is just any cup, bowl. If you have a taller cup, it will work even better too sometimes. But this is about 160, right? If you think 160 is too hot, you can lower the temperature. So we're just gonna let it sit a little bit, and then meanwhile, we're gonna try using a gaiwan, right? So this is the gaiwan that we're gonna use. So always rinse the gaiwan first with hot water. I'm going to put about 4 grams on this one. That's how much you need for this tea. It's about 4 grams. If you're drinking alone, definitely smell this tea. And make sure you smell this tea. You're gonna love it. There's like these sweet honey notes with like a little bit spice and chocolate. Really, really nice. Like just hints of spice, but it's not overwhelming, right? It just kind of enhances the sweetness somehow. It's like putting a little bit salt in your dish, right? That little kick just makes it really even more yummy. Okay. Pour this thing slowly. We're going to steep this roughly about 40 seconds. And meanwhile, you can see that the grandpa style tea is still going, right? Same thing with this one, right? We never have to take it off. And that's roughly about 40 seconds. See that? I'll show it to you what the leaf looks like. Oh, gorgeous looking leaf, big leaf, right? The bigger leaf, they tend to not get bitter as easy normally. Okay, and look at that. Look how clean, how vibrant it is, how thick it is. It looks like a melted honey in a way, right? And the smell, I wish you can smell this tea, but it's like the best smell black tea I've ever smelled. All right, we're going to try this. Cheers. So buttery, hints of spice. Really thick. It reminds me a little bit of a really good Oriental Beauty. Remind me a little bit of a red honey oolong, but the texture and the body remind me of a white tea, but it still have that maltiness of like a chocolate notes of like a really good black tea like honey chinchume. There's so much depth into this tea. It makes your throat feel great. The aftertaste is really cooling and nice. It's just an overall sensational black tea. And normally with Black tea, even like some of the best black tea, they always make feel a bit dry, but not this one. This is definitely not dry at all. Really buttery, really creamy. Like one of the most creamy black tea we have. It's almost like if you drink coffee, put a lot of cream, put a lot of honey and sugar. That's what it tastes like, but without the sugar aftertaste, without that awful sugar rush after. It just feels refreshing. That's how good it is. And the aftertaste is just a sweet aroma just comes out of your throat, comes out of your mouth. While I'm talking, I can feel the sweetness just pass through my tongue. It's hard to explain. It's kind of weird. Never had any black tea like this before. And if you just let it sit for like a little bit longer in your tongue, it feels like that cookie dough that is like freshly baked, and then you just kind of bite into it. That first crisp kind of like sensation. Incredible, incredible black tea. And normally I wouldn't even like test it with this many different styles, but this black tea is special, so I'm willing to do that extra work to show you guys. This glass is not tall enough. I was using a mason jar the other day and it was perfect, right? But and I actually just used boiling water and just leave it there. Doesn't mean I'm telling you you should use boiling water for all your tea. I was testing the black tea and that's why I was using boiling water, and it was great. If you don't have fancy tea wares, when it comes to really good tea, sometimes all you need is just your normal glass. I'm always trying to do something different because even though I have a lot of like fancy teaware to sell, but sometimes not everybody are willing to spend time to research and to understand what makes them special. People say like, making tea is too complicated, and I try to make it easy for people. The only thing is you have to have a good tea, right? So this has been sitting here for like about 10 minutes now. Let's give it a try. The only thing, the cup is not tall enough, but the leaf is big, so I could like maneuver the leaf so I don't like drink the leaf. But it's not bitter at all. I do feel like I need to use higher temperature. It tastes sweet, but it doesn't really taste anything else. Compared to when I was making it in this guy one, I could really taste much more than just sweetness. All right, so let's try this one, right? Different material is going to give you different note, right? Even though they're the same tea, same water, everything is the same, right? But this one, you can see actually the leaf is kind of like in the center, so it's kind of nice. But same thing, one of the leaf kind of like get in the way. So get a bigger bowl. I'm not using the proper tea bowl, to be fair. Why am I doing this? It's because I'm trying to show people sometimes that making tea is not that complicated. You can make it really easy if you don't have any of this teaware. You just have to be really good black tea. Now, not all my tea you can do this, by the way. So I'm just giving an example of like how good this black tea is. But let's try this second brew. And I'm going to use, instead of 185, this time I'm actually going to use boiling temperature immediately. Normally when you make a tea, you start it with low, get all the sweetness you can. You slowly go higher temperature as a later brew, like by the 4th infusion, 5th infusion. Lots of black tea, they taste sweet. Normally you can only do like 3 or 4 infusion. But this particular black tea is so special that you can actually do like 8, 9 infusion and just let it sit for like forever. So good. Boiling temperature, same tea, 2nd infusion. So it's kind of soon to actually raise the temperature to boiling. Normally I will do the boiling by like the 5th infusion, not the 2nd infusion. But I also have other teapot I want to try, and so let's give it a try, right? So let's finish this one real quick and see how is this one taste like. I'm gonna brew it for like a whole minute. All right, it's been a whole minute. Let's see. You can see the color is a bit darker. See that? Always try to open the lid to let the steam out. You don't want to keep cooking tea, especially if you're going to brew this many times. Oh, look how gorgeous this one is. Whoa, you don't just focus on the sweetness now. As soon as you make it strong like this, immediately it suddenly brings like a sweet bamboo, I don't know, like a sugar cane, like the sweet sugar cane kind of note. So instead of honey now, it's like a sugar cane. And it's starting to give you the nuttiness too. So there's like aroma, almost like a roasted almond now starting to come out. It's so different, but the body is still thick. It's still heavy and it's still not dry. It's still buttery, it's still creamy. It's incredible because normally black tea is one of the driest category in this like white green oolong, you know? When we think about black tea, they're almost always very dry. And the fact that I can like abuse this with like the worst possible condition and it still tastes amazing. That's just, I'm like speechless. All right, we're gonna try the fourth and the fifth method, right? Normally, you know, I only show you like one or two methods, but this tea is so good. I want you to play with every possible method that you can think of. Either if you want to do Western brew style, you want to cold brewing it, using different material. I promise you, it's so much fun, right? That's what I meant by like, I feel like I just level up as far as like quality of tea, right? There's not that many black tea I can play like this. So now we're going to use this particular teapot. I only pull out this special teapot for like really special occasion. You never see me using this kind of teapot in any of my old videos. So, but today is a special day. So I'm gonna use this for this black tea. This is my tiny little teapot that is hand-painted, handmade in China. The maker retired, so I can't get any more, but the inside is beautiful. The benefit of having this kind of shape, if you can see, the bottom is a little bit more wider, so you can put like a bigger leaf like what we're gonna do, and then it can expand, and then the top one is a little bit smaller, so when you pour it out, the liquid, the tea wouldn't come out from the lid. So I really like this kind of teapot for a lot of like the bigger leaf, like that what we're gonna do. Or even like for Taiwanese tea is great. This is not great for like a Japanese tea for sure, especially if you notice the strainer is a bit more wider and it's not that much hole. So if you use this for like a lot of Japanese green tea, a lot of the tea is just gonna get stuck by the spout, right? So that's not what we want to use. We're going to rinse this one time. It's just water for now, right? We're just rinsing the teapot. Now, with this kind of teapot, normally you just kind of like fill the whole teapot with the leaf, but let's measure it so it can help you guys to know how much tea to put. Now, how do we get this leaf into this tiny teapot? Because you see this, it's kind of hard to get it in, right? So if you had seen this kind of strainer, it comes with this stand. What a lot of people doesn't know, the stand is actually double as a spout. See that? So now it's a lot easier, right? So if you never knew this, well, hopefully now you know, right? This is a stand for your strainer. It double as a funnel, right? And I'm just gonna pack this thing. So hopefully you can see that, right? Right now it's about 3 grams. We're just gonna like really stuck it, right? I try not to crush them as much as you can. So the Gaiwan, you cannot do this. The Gaiwan, I put like 4 grams. I mean, maybe you can put 5 grams. Okay, so I'm going to use 195. This is gonna be awesome. Oh, the smell is very different with how it was in the Gaiwan. So the nice thing about using this type of teapot is you're able to kind of trap the heat better compared to like a Gaiwan. And usually you don't even need to think about how long you're brewing it. It goes in, goes out. A small teapot like this is designed so that you can just do it right away without really waiting. So you take the guess out, right? And that's kind of what's nice about it. Let's smell this. Oh my God. And it's also the design of how like it's like from the bottom and it's just kind of collectively kind of bring all the smell together. So when you actually open the lid, you can like just get a different aroma compared to when you get it like this Gaiwan, where it's like the aroma is just kind of like spread out. So it's kind of cool because the smell is huge difference. With the Gaiwan, it smells more sweet honey, and this one it has like honey sweets, but it also has this like dark chocolate kind of feel. Where the Gaiwan, it just smells like a sweet honey. Okay, so it's deeper, and even though I brew it right away, I didn't wait that long. I mean, I really didn't wait at all. This is 195 degrees, and you can see the color comes out immediately. So different teaware, you gotta understand the way you brew them is going to be slightly different. The Gaiwan is really honey notes, where this one, it tastes more, a little bit more fruity kind of sweetness, which is interesting. Yeah, it's a different kind of sweetness. It's so different. It's almost like it feels like it's more buttery. I mean, I can't believe I said that because that was really buttery already in the Gaiwan. So it almost has this sweetness of like a lychee, which I didn't get that from a Gaiwan. It's so interesting. So same thing, second brew. Gonna do this really fast, right? Goes in, right? Immediately pour it out. A good teapot should the water should just comes out immediately. Like the water won't come out from the lid, and as you can see, there's no liquid comes down here. That's a sign of a good teapot. So if you can ever find that kind of teapot, that means that's really well designed. Not a lot of teapot can do that. Sometimes don't care too much about the look, but more about the functional, right? To drink something amazing like this. And on top of it, this is it's a coated inside, so I can really use any kind of tea. So that's what I like about this. Very consistent. Now it added a depth of like almost like the cookie dough kind of like thickness. Still very yummy, still very thick in the mouthfeel. There's just one more teapot I'm gonna give it a try. I want to see how different it is with this teapot. Now, as you can see, this teapot is much bigger, right? Much bigger volume, and the body is also much thicker. The material inside is also, this is a seasoned with a lot of like a darker black tea. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the flavor change. Now, this tea is on sale right now. So definitely, if you wanna try the tea that I consider the best black tea I have in my collection, definitely go to the website teaandwhisk.com and look up for the San Lindsay black tea, and I'll put a link in the description as well. Okay. No matter how much you try to brew this, never really get bitter. Really amazing. I'm very impressed with this tea. Very juicy. Just one more tea, different material. I'm going to treat it about the same, which is 5 grams and same temperature. Now, actually, this time I'm gonna use boiling. So we did like 185, 195, and now this is boiling. Just to show you how versatile this tea can be. And the same thing, I'm going to use about 5 grams, okay? So same thing, if you're having trouble trying to put the tea into the teapot, you can use the same stand that you have for your strainer, and that can double as a funnel. Okay, I'll put about the same amount, which is 5 grams. Right. And I heat up the teapot first before I put this. Oh, now it smells like a milk chocolate now. Before it's like honey, and then maybe honey with a bit floral. Now it's like literally like a melted milk chocolate. I'm going to use a higher temperature this time. This is a bigger teapot, a little bit more surface area, so I'm just gonna use boiling, almost boiling, like 205. It has like a note of spice now. The note of spice is definitely a little bit more apparent. All right, so this kind of teapot, what's unique is it has a thicker body, so it maintains the temperature better for a longer brew temperature. Technically, if you want to do like 180, you can do this too, but we already tried that with 180. This time I'm using boiling. And this kind of teapot, you can pour hot water on the sides. I don't know if you can see it, these little tiny holes in this teapot actually will retain some of this hot water, and as a result, it's going to keep the water temperature hotter and longer, right? So look how nice it is. Yeah. So same thing, just goes in and pour it out slowly. As you can see, the color is actually a bit lighter, right? I used the same amount, 5 grams, but the surface is a little bit bigger. And also there's more room to put more water. So as a result, the liquid, the tea comes out a little bit lighter in color. Flavor is also very different. It's weird because the stronger you brew, the sweetness is starting to kind of blend together with like almost like a citrus notes to it now. Same tea, just completely different feeling now. Like I think my favorite is still that ceramic teapot. Like this, it's almost give this feeling of like almost like a heicha or like a show pu'er. It has these woody notes to it, which I think some people are gonna enjoy that. That's just very interesting. Let's brew it longer on the second brew and let's see what happens. Let's see if the teapot can give more additional like layer to this already amazing tea. The texture is still very similar. All right, so brew a bit longer, same thing, pouring it outside. Let's see what happens. Color is pretty consistent even on the second infusion, right? You can see the color, pretty good. All right, let's see. I will say so far the ceramic teapot is the winner. This one, it tastes a little bit more like a pu'er, like it gives you this extra touch of like woodiness, of like earthiness, and a little bit citrus note. Yeah, definitely a little bit more citrus. Interesting. Very, very interesting. So they're all very good, regardless what method you're gonna do. My advice is to play with this. This is such an amazing tea. This makes me feel like all of my other black tea, just not that great anymore. That's the power of finding something so amazing that make everything else just less exciting, right? That's when I feel like I'm like leveling up my own personal experience of like finding the best tea. It's a never-ending journey that I'll never stop pursuing, and that's what keeps me going. This is why I'm traveling to China in a few weeks and traveling to Japan too. I mean, I'm traveling to Japan first and then going to China. But part of it because I know finding tea is not easy. Finding the tea that I consider the best, the only way to do it is by going to as many tea farms as possible and meeting as many tea farmers as possible and learning with as many people as possible. So I hope you do the same thing with me. You know, don't ever feel like you already know everything about tea, because even for me, I'm 9 years in and I'm still feeling like I'm still learning. So what do you think? Will you give this black tea a try? And I know this black tea is a bit premium when it comes to the price, you know? So I put it on sale just because I love this black tea so much and I really want everybody to give this a try. I'm actually going to put an additional coupon code in this screen. So it's a very limited time. It won't be available forever, especially this particular batch. We don't have a lot, right? If you've been following my channel for a while, you know that every batch is always slightly different. I thought the last batch was good. This batch is completely a whole different new level. But for sure, if you want to give this a try, definitely this is a good time to try it. I promise you, you're going to be very happy with this quality. This is the best black tea I've ever found. Even if you're not a black tea person, please give this a try at least once. And other than that, I hope you learned something from this video, and I'll see you again until the next video. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you haven't, and ring the notification bell. Especially, I'm going to do a lot of video upcoming tricks. See you again until next time. Bye.